Hello everybody, welcome to the fourth seminar in this Frank course. Up until now we have seen we are priests who are Franks despite our weaknesses. Then we've seen we need to seek God for which Franks to pray for because He's working in some of the Franks or wants to work in some of the Franks, and therefore we want to be working with them rather than sort of doing our own work. Then we've seen that if we pray for God to open a door with our Franks, He will open the door. That's Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. And then we need to recognize the door. We saw there are practical doors, spiritual doors, evangelistic doors. We need to recognize them. And then we need to go through the door and befriend our Franks. Now again, we said this time and time again, you are not obligated to evangelize. If God opens an evangelistic door and you feel that you're able or that you can trust Him for it, fine, go through it. But you're not under obligation to do it. All you need to do is pray seriously. We've seen that every day for 12 weeks. That God will open up a door, and when He does, go through and befriend your Franks and then invite them to an outreach meeting later on in the year. Now, our next talk in this series is working together in teams. Why is it so important to work together in teams? Well, there are two reasons I want to look at here. Prayer together has more power. In Matthew 18, verse 19, we read this, "Again I say to you, if two of you agree on earth concerning anything that they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven." Isn't that an amazing promise? If two of us agree about anything, the Father says He will do it. Now, obviously, asking for souls to be saved and doors to be opened, these are all things of God's will. So there isn't a problem here. It's us persisting and asking for these things. We need to keep going with it. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is in teams, we encourage and motivate one another. There's a few verses in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 4. We pastors often use this when we're talking to couples that are planning to get married either in the engagement or in the sort of the wedding studies, the marriage studies before the wedding. But this is particularly relevant also for this ministry of evangelism and praying and working towards our Franks. This is what it says here. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls. Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not easily broken. Now listen, I don't know about you, but if we're praying 12 weeks every day for 12 Franks, you can easily get discouraged. If you're praying, say, 3 weeks and nothing has happened, sometimes it can be quite discouraging to keep on pressing and praying faithfully when we're not seeing any fruit. But if we get together in a group once a week at the church or some other place that suits us as a group, and perhaps there are 6 of us praying together, and we're praying for each other's Franks. So everybody will share something. We've all got 12 Franks. So each one will share 1 or 2 things, maybe about 2 or 3 of our Franks. And we'll share that together. And we end up praying for each other's Franks at the time, but also when we're at home. What happens each week? Somebody will, God willing, share something that the Lord has done that week in their Frank, which will encourage everybody. So if nothing's happened in my Frank for the last week or the last 2 or 3 weeks and I'm feeling a bit discouraged, and something has happened in a Frank of one of the other members in the group, and I prayed for it, then I feel encouraged. And really what happens is you get to a place where everyone in the group, and we usually try to keep it down to 6, everyone in the group praying for everyone else's Franks owns everybody else's Franks. So at the end of the 12 weeks of praying, we have an evangelistic meeting. If there are 6 of us, that's 72 Franks that have been prayed for. Maybe only 4 Franks come to the outreach meeting and none of yours. But we've all prayed for all of the Franks. Have the outreach meeting. If one of them even, or maybe 2, get saved, that is fruit for the whole group. You understand how when we're sharing these things, sharing what God has done, we encourage one another to press forward with the prayer, because it's the prayer that will break down the strongholds. It's our love, the befriending, that will open them up, and then God will bring in His evangelists to harvest them. So that's very, very important to meet together. And usually what we do, if you're having this group, you've all got close, you will have a Frank group. Probably between the 6 of us, there might not be enough Franks wanting to come to have more than one group. But one of you in that group of prayer people that are praying together, one of you will host the group. And then the rest of you will bring your Franks to that group. So it's a real teamwork thing from start to finish. And when people get saved and go on to baptism perhaps, the whole group really feels this is our fruit. So it's a very important thing to do together. So this is the end of the before section of the Frank course. Next talk will be about the actual mission week itself, and then there'll be some talks afterwards on how to do the follow-up. God bless.